what? You may go forward 3 steps, and if 1 month things suck and you take a step back, you're still going forward.
The plan looks great on paper and it's a nice straight line, but in reality, things are going to go up, they're going to go down, they're going to go sideways, they're going to go backwards, they're going to get flipped upside down, and you just have to adapt to those things, right?
I am on a hamster wheel from hell. Like, I am not ever going to get off this.
And our rule in our house is kind of aggressive. We save twice what we need to make a purchase. So if we need $100 to buy something, we save $200.
It's the classic you hear, well, if you follow the program, it works for you. No, it really does work for you. Shut up and follow the program.
You saying you are worth it is so important because you are. So to get through the awkward, the messy middle, but to get to the other side of it, it's so empowering.
If I didn't have this program, I would be devastated right now because the plans I made with my kids wouldn't have been able to happen.
Christine Golden is a single mom of 2 children and a high school social studies teacher. For years, she believed that she was bad with money. She carried a lot of shame and was living life by just getting by. As a college-educated professional woman, she thought she should be doing better with her money, but she didn't know how, and it wasn't for a lack of trying either. Christine had read books, watched YouTube videos, and spoke to a friend who was great with her money. But after educating herself, she still didn't know how to translate those solutions into her household financial picture. When we met, Christine had felt enough was enough, so she decided to invest in coaching in hopes of getting out from under all of her debt with the goal of one day being able to retire debt-free. Christine signed up for my coaching program in October of 2022. At that time, she had close to $102,000 of non-mortgage debt. When we first interviewed her on the podcast, Christine had already paid off 4 different debts totaling $8,000. She has since paid off over $15,000 of debt while maintaining a $1,000 emergency fund. Being that she is now proactive with her money versus reactive, she is also able to pay for expenses as they arise, like vet bills, tires for her car, and a new garage door, to name a few expenses that she's incurred since starting coaching. She has also gone on vacation, mini getaways, and saw one of her favorite artists, Pink, perform. She continues her hobby of antiquing, going out with friends, and getting sushi with her kids. Christine is living her best life. She has a cruise booked to celebrate her upcoming 50th birthday with the love of her life, and this vacation will be 100% paid for while simultaneously paying off debt and saving too. Christine is a rock star. She is no different or better than you. She learned how to set her priorities, which has allowed her to be laser focused on what her future looks like while having the confidence to pursue it. As her coach, I am beyond proud of her progress and thrilled to welcome her back to Off Limits. Welcome back, Christine.
Hi, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
We're thrilled to have you here. So tell us, what is your mindset coming into today's conversation?
I feel great.
Awesome.
My money is working for me. I'm not working for my money, and I'm reaching my goals, and I'm loving that. And I'm making new goals, which is also very exciting for me. And I'm just really excited about where I'm going with my money and excited about what I'm going to do with it. Which, before I never had what I want to do with my money. It was, I have to pay my bills. And I still have bills. I don't want anyone to think I don't. But now I have other fun stuff that I can save my money for or work towards, which is really exciting. And it's very calming to have all my priorities in line. I really realized that the past, I know I've been with you over a year, but the priority portion is so important. So important.
Can you elaborate on, you said priorities now, I was trying to keep count like 3 or 4 times just in like 62 seconds. Can you elaborate on priorities? What does that mean for you?
Just making my money go to the right places where I want it to go, where my priorities are. In the past, my money was going for either other people's priorities or what I thought were my priorities, but they weren't. All right. They were what I thought I had to do. And now my money goes to the priorities I need it to, which, is me and also my kids. And helping them where they are. And it's just very exciting. And whenever I'm not sure what to do with my money, or even if I get a little off track, because nobody's perfect, I just go back to, what's your priorities? What are we working for? And that centers me very quickly. And so the priorities are very important to me.
So I'm curious, you said you had them before, but now you said, these are priorities that I need to have in my life, want to have in my life. How did you get clarity? How did you make that shift?
Um, I mean, after the divorce, it was very hard because my priorities were always my kids. And they still are. My kids now are grown. They're 18 and 20. And they're in school and all of that. But I had to shift where I still obviously help them and I, do what I can for them. But also it can be about me. And I'm not used to that. It's never been about me. And, the past year and a half with the program, I've been able to look at and go, well, this is what I want. And first, like, no one's judging me for my crazy ideas. And I'm sure, Christine, there have been times where you're like, where is this chick going? But, I've got these things I want to do and I'm going to do them. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, but they will be done.
So, will you set the stage for perhaps listeners who don't know you and don't know your story? Where did you start out when we started working together? Like, what was the catalyst for coming in and hiring a money coach?
My catalyst was I had gone through a divorce and I thought I was doing well, but I was still depending on my credit cards way too much. Christmas charged, every vacation charged. And I realized by looking at my credit card debt that I am on a hamster wheel from hell. Like, I am not ever going to get off this. And I didn't like it. I also didn't like the way I felt, and it took some opening up with a therapist to realize that there was a lot of shame for me and my money. I always felt I'm stupid with money. I can't handle money. My whole life I've been told, you suck at math, you suck at this. And I realized that it all went in to my cash and how I affected my money, how I treated my money. And so I had to get past that and I had to really look at, getting help. And you were recommended by some friends of mine. And, I went in and there was no judgment. There was no shame. I'm pretty sure one of the first 2 meetings I cried at, and you didn't even bat an eye. You were like, here are the tissues, here's a bottle of water. And, we got going and, it's worked for me. It's the classic you hear, well, if you follow the program, it works for you. No, it really does work for you. Shut up and follow the program.
Let me ask you a question on that, because in the intro, I did read how you had read books, you watched YouTube videos, you had even met with a friend who was very good with her money. Why do you think those solutions didn't stick, but working this program and working together has stuck and has been a sustainable life change?
Because it's about me. It's not, I can still do what I want for my priorities. We created a program around that. So I still, I'm still paying my bills. I'm paying off my debt as quick as I can. My non-negotiable is I have to travel. And I'm not going to Tahiti or, anything like that. But I've got to have my road trips. I've got it, like, that's a biggie for me. I'm not going to stop doing that. So, and every program before I met you and got involved with your guys' programs, it's been, you got to give this up. You have to give this up. Everything has been so in a box and it's all or nothing. There are no second chances. There are, this program's a lot fluid. And guess what? You may go forward 3 steps. And if 1 month things suck and you take a step back, you're still going forward. And there's no shame. There's no, you should have known better, or there's none of that, and the importance of having a person to help me look at my money differently. How many meetings have we had where I'm like, no, this is my budget. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. Have you thought about it this way? And I'm like, now I got to redo my budget because you just made me look at it a different way that I was unaware of. I just didn't click with my brain.
I love everything you just said. Donald, what are you hearing, or what are you curious about?
Well, I was just going to say, so initially I heard the word priorities. Then I think I heard the word plan, and I was going to ask if the plan was maybe just a substitute for the word budget. You've just said budget now 4 or 5 times. And so what is different? I assume it sounds like, and I don't want to take, I'm not changing your story, but what I heard was you had a budget before, or you were budgeting some way. And then you met Christine, you started kind of looking at the budget a new way. What was the difference? Why did previous budgets not necessarily work for you? And I think you've started to answer that already, but I just want, people listening are going to hear that and they're going to say, well, my budget's not working. So what is it that was different about the way that you were engaging with the budget or working through the budget that started to work?
Definitely going cash only had a huge impact on me, because then you go to spend and it's not in the envelope. There's not a whole lot you can do there. But also, I had a lot of, I didn't know where my money was going. Like when, you have to be accountable for every dollar you're spending. And I would write things out, with the budget and plan. And then I got real. And it took me a while to get real. Like Christine will tell you, it probably took me a good 6 to 8 months to really look at my spending and be like, I'm writing it down. And I was following my budget, but my paycheck might have been an extra $50 because I worked a little OT or did something. I couldn't tell you where that $50 was going. And that adds up. That adds up to be a lot of money. And I realized that, I've got it locked down a little bit. And I'm a teacher, and I'm lucky enough where every year where I am, I do get a little bit of a raise. And I didn't want to have that creep that sets in where more money. And now I'm buying, we'll say I love estate sales, and I'm buying more stuff at estate sales when I could be using that money to pay off that debt a little bit sooner or to save up for another vacation. And so it made me get real with the spending. And I love the envelopes, and I love, using only cash, because it really makes me think about what I'm doing.
So to anybody that thinks I don't make enough money to budget, or there's no way I could ever make it work. Yeah, exactly. That's the reaction I wanted. Absolutely. They can make it work,
Everybody,
right?
and I don't care how much money you are. Like, I'm very blessed where I have a good salary. I never complain about how much money I make. But even my friends and educators, Christine, her and I talk about it all the time. There's like this idea that teachers were perfect with our money, and we're teachers, so we're smart, and everybody. Yeah, we're some of the worst people with our money. We really are. And, I really got to look at that. And now, my plan, my budget is we'll say 1 month to 3 month kind of lookout. My plan is like through the whole year.
Nice.
Or even 2 years.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm planning now, like I'm looking at retirement in 6 years. And, I
Wow.
want to be debt-free for retirement, as debt-free as I can be. Like, I know I might have some college loans to help my kids. I'm ready for that. But the house I want done, the big stuff I want gone. And that will happen. Like, I have a plan, and there's no more, well, if it happens. No, there's no iffies. It's a when. It will. It may be delayed if something happens. Things happen, but it will happen.
So I'm hearing too, Dave has been quoted. I think he says that, budgeting and financial freedom is 10% math and 90% emotion, or 90% conviction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing you, and I'm probably not getting those numbers right, but I'm hearing you kind of confirm that.
Oh, yeah.
You're saying it's not if, it's when. That's more than just we put it down on paper. That's you and Christine working together and developing real belief, real passion,
Oh, yeah.
real conviction, right? That
Absolutely.
this is no longer optional for me. I'm just going to work the plan. I know that the math works. The math was easy. Now I have to live out, this lifelong effort, right? These goals. And I love that you said too, like, we're not perfect, right? So the plan looks great on paper and it's a nice straight line, but in reality, things are going to go up, they're going to go down, they're going to go sideways, they're going to go backwards, they're going to get flipped upside down, and you just have to adapt to those things, right? But if you have a plan, you can keep moving forward.
Absolutely. And the plan, Christine will tell you, this fall in September, went to back out of my garage, and my garage door never went up. And
Did you make it out of the garage?
I did not. And obviously I had to get that fixed. Well, old Christine, this would have been a complete and total, stress-filled meltdown, because I'd have to whip out a credit card and everything else. I had it in my emergency fund.
There you go.
I'm not going to lie.
Why
It
we
did hurt
have
to
them.
use it. Christine laughs at me because I'm like, it's so pretty in the fund. I don't want to take it out of the fund. But it did its job. It was an emergency. And now
It's a tool.
Will you also share what your son said to you that morning that you backed into the garage door? And if you don't want to, you don't
that's
have to share it.
If I remember it correctly, you may have to. But after calming me down, because he is the voice of reason, he was like, you got the money. Why are you worried?
Oh, there we go.
Because even
Kids
I
are in
share
on
with
it.
my
He's
kids the
bought in.
program and everything, and they know. because my plan, they're a part of my plan. So I share all of that with them. And he's like, why are you freaking out? You've got the emergency fund. It'll be fine.
I've said on the show, Christine, how many times have I said that, bring the whole family into this conversation? I've shared that, I have an 8-year-old son and, he's part of this conversation. He knows, he doesn't understand, obviously, and really fully appreciate, but I mean, he knows every single bill we pay. He knows the cost of every single thing that we buy. And it's not something that creates anxiety or guilt or any of that, right? It's not like I paid for it, you have to use it kind of thing. He just understands, if we want something, we have to budget first. We have to plan, put it in the plan, make a budget for it once we've saved. And our rule in our house is kind of aggressive. We save twice what we need to make a purchase. So if we need $100 to buy something, we save $200. That way, after we buy it, we still have $100 left over, right? And our bank account is just never empty. And it's a little extreme, but it really does work. And if you can apply those kind of rules, then even if you don't hit the goal of double, you're better off than you were if you didn't try, right?
So Donald, you just mentioned rules, and something that is part of Christine's plan that she hasn't touched on yet. She was kind of hinting to it, but it's her financial philosophies, principles that she lives by.
Great.
So not that you have to share them with our listeners, but do you remember when we did that activity and some of the non-negotiables that are now a framework of what this plan is and how it keeps you in the guardrails of staying on track with your plan?
Yeah. Very specifically, I remember that, I will never use money as a weapon, because with my past relationships, money was used as, emotional blackmail, even besides, and I will never do that. If I have a family member, God forbid, no one has had to do that yet, but who needs something from me, that money will be a gift. It's not like the mafia. There will be no payback. There will be no, if I need to, if, I can, and I want to help some of my, someone in my family, then I will do so as a gift, but I'm not mixing.
No strings attached.
Exactly. Yep. I'm not going to do that to them. I think it would cause me more terror and all of that.
Yeah.
And then, and I can't remember if this was written on the philosophy, but it's definitely in my philosophy now. If it's not bringing me joy, I'm not buying it. I'm not doing it.
What does that mean to you? Like, break that down a little bit more.
I definitely, but I have ADHD. We are the worst people with money. I've done research on it now and stuff. And
wait, time out. You are not the worst person with money because you have ADHD. You are literally a rock star with your money, and you have ADHD.
And before
I want to insert something here too. Yeah. So fun fact, because we didn't have this statistic when you were on the show last, but since then we've shared a statistic that the largest demographic of self-made millionaires, do you know who they are? What job, what career path they're on?
Entrepreneurs, maybe?
It's teachers. Can you believe that? So you got to give yourself more credit. You've made a tremendous shift.
I may have a new plan.
You've been on this show twice. You're doing a follow-up now. You've made a tremendous amount of progress. Christine has shared some of that with us. I don't want to hear you say that you're bad with money anymore. I want to hear you talk about how great you are with money.
No, I'm very good with money now. Part of my, we'll say, old life was there was a lot of emotional shopping. A lot of shopping for other people, like shopping and giving gifts was my love language for myself and for other people. And I would just buy random stuff, but it's on sale. How can you say no? Now, I don't even shop a lot. I love an antique store. I love an estate sale. I'm a sucker for those. But if I go in there and find something and it calls to me, I pick it up and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And I'll put it down and I'll walk away. And if I keep looking back at it, hoping nobody else picks it up, or if I, and depending on the price, but if it's truly bringing me joy, I will make that purchase. But I won't just make the purchase to make a purchase. It's gotta bring me joy. And I don't buy gifts the way I used to for other people. I really don't, even for my own kids. And I'm sure they're whining about that, but it's not, that doesn't have to be my love language anymore. That doesn't need for me to buy someone, and that's a whole other therapy session with my therapist, but it's helped me. It's connected to everything, my money plans, my budgeting, everything, my priorities. It connects with every aspect of my life in a good way.
it's interesting how that works too, right?
Oh,
When
yes.
when it's not bringing you joy, when you're not managing your money proactively, when it's not intentional, it only induces anxiety or fear or stress, and pick an adjective, right?
Hmm.
And people think that when you get more, like there's more of that goes with it. How am I going to manage it? Or the old adage of more money, more problems, or if I had more, then I could do this kind of thing. But I mean, you just said, and correct me if I got this wrong, but what I heard you say is, I have more means now, but I have less wants.
Yes.
Yeah. The things that I used to go out and buy that I couldn't pay for, I no longer have a desire to go purchase.
Nope.
I don't feel the need to go out and do that anymore. So you're becoming more intentional, more responsible. And now you have more means to manage it with because you've paid down some debt. You're going to pay down more debt, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
only going to put you in a better position.
No,
That's
absolutely.
amazing.
And if anything, with the means mixed with my priorities, I guess the things that, and I do want to do, and they're all experiences, they're all basically travel, they are a little bit more expensive. I am doing a cruise when I turn 50 years old. It'll be paid off. Like it'll be a good, but that was, one of my non-negotiables. I'm turning 50. I want to celebrate it, and that's what the program, like I told Christine, and she goes, all right, let's get on it. What do we got to do? It was no, you've got credit card debt still. We can't go anywhere, which is very, a lot of people think it's an all or nothing and they can't do anything that makes them happy. And that's simply not true.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because you've shared, how much debt you've paid off, how you're living with your priorities, but how are you saving to be able to go see Pink and go on many getaways and take this cruise when you turn 50? How are you able to pay your bills, pay off debt, and save too? Like, how does that work for you?
I work it into the budget. It's a non-negotiable. Like
There you
I
go.
want to do, you're going to love me. I literally just planned a girls trip we're going in April. We're going to Cleveland to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And
Nice.
it wasn't originally one of my plans. Because I know right
No,
now Christina's going, that's
this is
new.
news.
This is
This
new.
is news. Yeah.
But I'm going to work it out where I can afford it. Like I've already worked on some things and, and I have to work harder at it. Like one of the other things I found out this week, and old Christine would have spazzed. I would have totally had a breakdown. I did my taxes. I have not turned them in yet, but I did go through just to see what I was going to get for a refund. And, it's $1,800 less than what I'm used to.
Yep.
And the old way, pre-finding the program, that my tax refund is how I paid for all my vacations. It's how I did everything. That was my woohoo. We got some money. We'll pay off a little
Annual
here.
bonus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have this program, I would be devastated right now because the plans I made with my kids wouldn't have been able to happen. The things that but I looked at it, and I'm not going to say was overjoyed, but I also was like, it's all right because I got it. Everything is going to be okay.
So what I know to be true, and what I just kind of want to break down a little bit more, is instead of waiting for that tax refund or the end of year big paycheck that teachers often get, you're budgeting your money that you're earning now, so you're saving for the vacation, the home
Yes.
maintenance repair, the car repair. So when you are getting that tax refund money, like Donald said, it truly is a bonus because you haven't taken that dollar amount into the equation of planning for these other expenses. So then it really gets to be, in this case, it's less, but it gets to be, what am I going to do? How am I going to choose to allocate this money? You're not relying on it, which is a very different feeling for sure. And it's being proactive versus reactive with your money.
Yeah, like I've already, I know with my tax refund when I do get it, most of it is going to go to pay off the credit card debt because I want that. Like I do, and I do have a little section that will go to vacation, but most of it is going to go lay down for credit card debt. So, and that's
So follow the same process, right?
Exactly.
You're going to take that money, divvy it up just like if it was a paycheck.
Exactly.
It's going to go percentage-wise. It's going to go into all the same categories. So let me ask this question. Are you finding now, a little more than a year into this, Are you hitting goals faster than you thought you would? And then if you are, how are you celebrating some of those milestones?
I am hitting goals. I'm hitting them quicker than I ever thought I would.
Awesome.
I'm hitting them quicker than I ever thought I would. And even there are goals, like I see lights at the end of the tunnel with like my credit card debt. I was paying it off a lot, and the credit card company got mad at me for paying it off too quickly, and they tripled the interest on my account. And Christina will tell you that was quite the frantic text and phone call that I made to her because I was like, this is not staying. What are my options? And so now I do have, a personal loan, a lot lower interest, and I know it'll be paid off in so many months. But also I know if I lay some more money down, I'm going to, so,
Less.
that's what I plan
Yeah.
on doing. And I celebrate like a lot of different ways. A lot of them are little day trips that I want because I like having experiences, and day trips obviously are not a budget breaker. Sometimes it'll be, I'll pay something off, and my boyfriend is incredibly supportive, and he goes, oh my gosh, you paid something else off? Well, dinner's on me. Where are we going?
We're going to celebrate.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
And we'll do stuff like that. Sometimes it's just me calling up everybody who knows I'm on this journey and being like, Mama paid off something else, and just sharing that. So,
Patting yourself on the back.
So you don't even need to go. You just said all I really need is the high five, like the symbolic high five, right? So somebody just gives you recognition for a job well done, and you're moving your way through this process. You're going out to small little day trips, dinners, things like that. I think it's important that people know this doesn't have to be. I'll use your example. This doesn't have to be a trip to Tahiti, right? We don't need to do something big and massive and save $10,000 to go celebrate our success. We can do it for free, and we can do it on a minimal, limited budget, and we can budget for those things. We can have a budget category that allows us to bake in and build in celebration as part of the journey. Because if it's only pain and no gain, what are the chances that you're going to stay committed to it, right?
Exactly.
The reward, the recognition, the celebration aspect of it, I think, is really important. So I'm glad to hear that you're doing that and that you're able to do it.
It's hugely
it feels good, right?
Oh yeah, it feels awesome, and it's important. You've got to be able, because people, well, just a little thing. No, it's not just a little thing. You did it, whatever it was.
That's
and
right.
You've got to give yourself, and I do have bigger, Christina will tell you, like when I pay off that credit card debt, I told her I will move on to the next debt, but first I'm saving for a really great kick-ass vacation.
There you go.
We're doing Orlando, we're doing Universal. I've never done them, and me and my boyfriend are going to do it. And he's said he'll pay half, but that will be on the horizon when I get there.
It's something that you're looking
awesome.
forward to in the process.
Yes.
It's not just, oh, I'm slugging away and paying this debt off and it's taken X amount of months or years. It's at the end of it, we are going on this really nice vacation, which
That's
I
right.
really want pictures and a postcard when you're there. But it's the reward at the end, meaning you're reinforcing your good behavior that you're doing to get to that reward, which means you theoretically make more good behaviors with your money.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. When you start that and you really get into the mind frame, you just start doing it, and you don't need to remind yourself. You don't.
That's right.
It just happens. The behaviors change, you get into new habits, and it just happens.
So all throughout this episode and this conversation, while you're talking, I could hear and I could see the ripple effect of you creating healthy money habits and how that has impacted the rest of your life in such a positive, uplifting way. What I'm curious is, how has that new relationship, healthier relationship with your money, impacted your relationships with humans, your kids, your boyfriend, your family, your friends? What's been the ripple effect of that?
Wow. For my kids to know, they're very proud of me. In the beginning, they're like, if you talk about this budget one more time, I swear to God, Mom. Like, they were just not. Now they get it. My son just got his first job, and we went to the bank. He set everything up. Originally I was on the accounts. Now he's taken me off because he wants to be independent, but he has savings accounts. He's got things that he's doing. I had to die laughing, and I don't think he'll watch this, but one of the things he has a vacation account. And I was like, honey, that's
Just like mama.
just like mom.
There you go.
And and I'm like, that's awesome. But his vacations he's saving up for is a trip to Lake Delta, which is 30 miles up the road from our house. And I was like, dude, you need a savings bank to go to the state park. But in his mind, I'm going to have the money when I want to do it.
That's
and
right.
It's funny, but it's also, I'm very proud of him because he's starting,
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
my eldest is on her own in Pittsburgh, and she's really doing well and very good with her money. And, so it's helped relationships with that. My parents, when I first came out of the divorce, like, my dad was very much, you need anything. You need anything. Are things getting tight? And in the beginning, it was a little tight. Now I'm just like, Dad, will you stop asking me? Because I'm okay. Do you need anything? And he gets,
Right. That's an
he's
amazing
still, when
position
we
to
go out
be
to
in.
lunch, he still pays for lunch, but that's a dad thing. And, but, with all my relationships, my boyfriend, I will tell him, we'll go out and stuff, and we split things pretty 50-50. Money's not like a huge thing, but for our vacations and stuff, like he has said, I don't have, he may not be able to swing one little weekend trip I want to throw in at the end of the summer, we'll say. And I'm like, are you comfortable with me swinging it? Because I can swing it, and I don't want to go alone. And he'll be like, I'm all right with it. I can have a little sugar mama, and at times he's my sugar daddy, so it works. But
There you
there's
go.
definitely, I'm not stressed. I'm not worried about money all the time. My acid reflux has gone down. Like the health, just everything, and
Wow.
if I want something, I can work it in. If I need something, I can work it in.
You touched on something, and it's the name of the show, and but you didn't say the words. But I heard you say, between you and your boyfriend, money's not really a big deal, right? So all of a sudden, this thing that is the number one stressor in relationships in the world right now, for you guys, isn't a big deal
No.
because of this plan, because of the purpose of that we started this show and titled the show Off Limits, not because this topic is off limits, but to kind of shatter that idea and make this subject of money not something that's off limits. And so for you guys are very open about it. You communicate about it. You're communicating with your family about it, maybe over communicating in the beginning, right?
Yes.
And talking too much, but that's good, right? And we joke about on the show that we're changing the world, right? And but you are, because your kids are now adopting these behaviors. You're replacing bad habits with good habits. You're giving them something that so many people are not getting, that has so much value, which is just good financial responsibility and good habits and a good kind of philosophy, right? When it comes to how they're going to approach their money. I love that he's saving up for, a day trip to a state park that he doesn't even have to pay for. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, if that's his attitude now, he's never going to be in debt. Never. Not one day in his life.
He's
going to pay cash for his first house. I mean, that's how amazing is that?
No, he definitely doesn't want any debt. And, the other big thing for me, and I want to make sure with my kids, is there's no shame in money. Like that was the biggest thing. I've talked to people that I work with and people out in the community that I meet. And, sometimes it'll come down, we'll have a conversation about money, not even just on accident or who's going to pick up the dinner bill or who's covering tips, stuff like that. And the amount of shame people have, like you can see it on their face when they're wondering, can I swing the tip? And it's like, don't worry, honey, I got it. But there shouldn't be this whole idea of not telling your kids about money because it isn't taught in schools as much as it should be. It's getting better, and stuff like that, but it's not taught maybe the way I wish it would be taught. And you have to share it with your kids. You've got to let them know, that it's going to be okay. I think I told Christine, my daughter, Olivia, she wanted to go to the beach for spring break. And some of her friends were very upset that she couldn't go because mommy wasn't paying for the ticket. Because with her friends' parents pay for everything. We are not in that type of household. Okay, I help as much as I can. And she couldn't go, and she wasn't upset about that, but her friends were very upset, and, to the point of, you need to find a new mom. This mom is not good. And because they never understood, they've never been taught. And I told Christine, like, eventually I had to come truthful with her, because the reason I couldn't afford to send her to Daytona was because I saved up and I was sending her to Rome, Italy to be with her best friend over spring break. So finally I had to just tell her and be like, listen, you're not going to stay home working over spring break. You're going to go visit your best friend over there. I've already talked to him. We're going to get the plane ticket. I already have the money saved up. He's excited. And I thought she was going to go through the screen on a FaceTime. Like, it was.
Yeah, I haven't heard the end of the story. I knew you were saving for it, but yes. I didn't know she knows now.
So, but yes, no, she knows. And because she bought the ticket, so everything was in her name. It makes it easier, international flights. I didn't want anything, but I just gave her the money because I had it saved up, and she's beyond excited. She can't wait to go to in March. But the other young people, and they're in their 20s, but they just think that the money mom and dad just always paid, and it's
they
like
do whatever they want.
Exactly. Yeah. No, honey, because God forbid something happens with mom and dad, just their job or whatever. You can't always make that guarantee.
That's a great lesson, though. For her, she didn't get what she wanted, that immediate want, right? But she got something so much better because the answer to this other thing was no.
Yes.
I think there's a lot to be learned in that little example. That's so great.
No, and she saw me. She's like, "How did you even save up for this?" And I go, "Little at a time." I said, "We discussed this last Christmas when Joey was home, her friend, and he told me he got the internship." And I was like, "Oh, we're going." I'm sending her to you because and he was like, you let me know. So, but it took time, and she understood that too. She's like, "You've been saving forever." I said, "Not forever, but a chunk of time."
What a gift. What a gift. You're teaching your children, and they're going to teach their children. And this whole idea of financial stress being the number one cause of stress in America, the number one cause of stress in relationships, right? The number one reason for divorce. Like this cancer, financial stress, I'm calling it a cancer, will eventually, I don't know if it'll be in my lifetime, but in my children's lifetime, my daughter's lifetime, our children's lifetime, for sure, I believe it, because there's more money coaches like us popping up. There's more people who want to be emboldened and want to do better with their money. And there's more people to help them. So I really believe that we are trendsetters. We're on the cutting edge of this, and I'm glad you're here with us talking about it. So I have a question that I want to ask you, because people may be listening and they're like, wow, like everything's going great. She's saving money, she's paying off debt, she's traveling, she's teaching her kids. Why is she still in a coaching program? Like, what's your answer to that? So we used to meet monthly and now we meet quarterly. So we meet every 3 months. But why is that something you want to keep budgeting your money for and spending your time with me, other than that I'm just a fabulous person?
You are a fabulous person. But
no self-promotion there at all.
I need the second set of eyes. I need a level of accountability where, somebody to answer to a certain extent, but also somebody to look at my stuff and say, "Christine, it looks great. Have you tried this?" Because sometimes I get tunnel vision and I just, cut and paste the same budget, change it up a little bit. And, you see stuff I don't see when it comes to the numbers. And that's what I need that. And I need somebody who is there to be like reminding me I'm doing a great job. Because when I do take a couple steps back sometimes, or, have to do something I'm not proud of, I am the type of person where I take it seriously. I take it personally, and I need someone there to be like, "Listen, you're still going forward. You just took one step back. It's not that big of a deal. Calm yourself down and keep going." And that's what she does for me.
And I think that support, what you just explained, is important for listeners to hear, because people are trying to do it alone. And I know for myself, when I'm doing something on my own, all the thoughts are swirling in my head. I don't have clarity I would as if I was helping a friend or a client or a family member. So having support and having someone be that second set of eyes for you really is so beneficial. Absolutely. So I'm glad that that is what you're experiencing, because that is the intention of the quarterly coaching, the extended coaching program.
I like to
And
with the quarterly coaching where I'm instead of as a teacher, my year goes September to June, or September to
mhm.
September. And by chunking it up, I really can see, I can, say, all right, this is my goal for the 3 months. This is my goal. And it helps me to make it more digestible, where I may want at the end of the school year, I want, let's say, 2 grand in my vacation account. In September, I might be like, dang. But if I know I'm only going to need this much, these 3 months, it makes it easier for me in my brain so I don't freak out too much.
It's more manageable.
Yes. Small bites.
So you recently put something, so I have a celebration interview that I share with my clients when they get to, like certain phases of their coaching. And recently you filled it out and you wrote something that literally made me laugh out loud. And it was witch, and it was a definition of a witch. And I don't remember what it stands for offhand, but you
Are we
wrote,
going to have to censor this?
No,
I
no.
need to know ahead of time. All right.
No censoring, no.
A witch, WITCH, is a woman in total control of herself.
And
Love
I
it.
love that. I love it.
It's actually, it's a TikToker song. I apologize to the author, the singer out there. I don't know who, but that's where I first heard it. And I know she's a teenager, which I thought was pretty
Okay.
cool. But it really hit me. Woman in total control of herself, and coming, off my divorce and off different things. And I'm in complete control of my life right now. Complete control. Yeah, my kids are obviously still a part of it, but it's me and my family and my household. And I don't got to worry about anybody else.
And
And
would
that,
you call this a 180? Like,
oh,
do you feel like
absolutely.
you were completely out of control and
Yes.
now you feel completely in control?
Yes. And and I know it sounds a little funny, but to be that in control is very freeing. It's very
Mhm.
freeing to know it's all about me. I take accountability. If I'm not doing it, then it's on me. But also, it is on me, so I can make it happen. And it's very
That's right.
freeing. It really is. Highly recommend it.
That's
Oh, there
truly
you go.
why I became a coach, because my husband and I experienced that freeing feeling, and I was like, this is the gift God gave to me. I never knew what I was meant to do in life. At 41 years old, I started my business and became a money coach, and it was truly, I could help other people feel free, just like you're explaining right now. I can't tell you how many conversations I have with people and their shoulders are scrunched up when they're talking about their money. Yours aren't.
No.
Right? You are at a point in your life where you're just relaxed. Sure, things happen, but you can handle those emergencies or those unexpected expenses because you have planned for them. They're in your plan, they're in your budget, they're in your physical savings account. You have a high yield savings account that is earning all types of interest
Yep.
on this money that you're saving, right? So
Absolutely.
you've put all the groundwork, you've laid the foundation, it's all in place, and now it's just living that life that you get to choose how you want to live it.
Yeah.
It's
Matthew was
great to
all
hear it from someone
interested in
else.
that high interest savings
Oh,
account. My son, he's all like, "What do you mean your account makes more money than mine does?" So,
There we go.
it may not be
Yep.
too long before she gets one.
I love it. So there's a couple final things that we want to talk about. Last time, or before we get there, what is something that you want to leave our listeners with?
If you feel like you're sinking, you feel like I can't do this. Yes, you can, and you have to, because you're worth it. You have to. It's not negotiable, people. Like, once you start, you'll get the money back and the experience back and everything tenfold. Like, you are worth it. You have got to do this, because everyone around you knows you're hurting. They may not understand why, but they see it, and you just need to get that stress, that shame, embarrassment, whatever it is, off your plate, because you're worth more than that.
So last time we interviewed you, that actually became the title of the show, because
Hmm.
you said you are worth it, and that's what we titled that episode. And here it is, you're giving the same message again. So it's not really like the secret sauce or pixie dust or fairy dust. It's you are worth it. Invest in yourself, and you can be free.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it sounds like it just keeps getting better. Here we are a year later. You've made more progress. You feel even more free, more in control, more freedom. You're experiencing new experiences. You're appreciating smaller celebrations for milestones and achievements. I mean, it really just compounds, right? It just keeps getting better. You're watching the amount of debt you have go away, and you said you can do it, and it really is worth it. And we say all the time, life is better on the other side of debt. And so many people are trying to live a healthy life using debt as a tool, as a lever, and it's really hurting their goals, right? It's taking them further away from that happy life that they want to live. And it really is better on the other side, and you can get there, right? No matter where you are. Small steps, consistency, you can get there.
You can.
And you just said that. Just keep going a little bit at a time.
The sooner you start, the better it's going to be. I mean, I have friends, we're getting close to retirement age, 5 to, 8, 9 years. Most of us, my friends, will be retired. And I've got friends, some who are more than excited, but they've never looked at their debt. Dude, you might want to look at that.
You don't want to be paying off debts in retirement because you don't have an income to support it.
Exactly. And some of my friends think I'm a little crazy, but I will be debt free. And
it's good crazy.
Oh, it's beyond
being weird's a good thing.
Yes. Oh, it is. It is. I go, you'll think I'm weird when I'm, FaceTiming you from a beach in Florida. Yeah. And, then we'll talk.
That's right.
Then we'll talk.
I think for your friends and people in general, at least in my experience in having this conversation, it's like, even though they're, and I'll use the word miserable, or it's very difficult and challenging, the financial stress of it in the here and now, they can't quite wrap their brains around that they have what it takes, the belief in themselves, to get them out of this situation into another situation that's not going to put them back here again. And to stay where you are, even though it's so challenging, at least you know what it is, you know how to manage it. It's a tightrope, it's stressful, but when you don't have the confidence in yourself, the belief in yourself, which is, I think, why, you saying you are worth it is so important, because you are. So to get through the awkward, the messy middle, but to get to the other side of it, it's so empowering.
Oh, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And just people need to there is more to life than debt. There is more, and they think it can't.
There's a better way,
and it can't. And it's like, yes, it can. Yes, it can. I mean, I can't tell you how many I'm a high school teacher, and I hear, people tell their kids, or, well, you're supposed to have college debt. It's what, well, do you? Maybe you don't need. Maybe you do have a little bit, because going to go to college is important. But maybe there's ways to work around that. Maybe there's ways to pay it off quicker, where you're not in debt till. I mean, I paid off my college debt when my daughter was a senior in high school.
That's a long time.
It's a long
yes,
time.
It is.
Long time and it's a monkey on your back for a long time.
Yes, it is.
It's very overwhelming.
And sometimes just because you can doesn't mean you should, right?
Well,
so
exactly. You have that.
College loans.
Yeah, you have the college loans or any of that, and you don't need people wait and think, when I win the lotto, things will get better. Are you serious right now? Because you're not going to win the lotto.
That's not a plan.
The minute you start working with your money, and Christine will tell you this, I started getting more money. I'd win raffles. I don't win anything. I would win raffle tickets. I would, just all of a sudden I'd be like, why is this stuff happening to me? And when you start, I'm telling you, you get good with your money, and the universe, whatever you believe, will bring you stuff to you. Good stuff to you.
Yep.
Yes. So before we sign off, I'm curious on one last thing. Is there any question that we didn't ask you that you would have wished we had, and how would you have answered it?
Probably the biggest thing, and I know when we did our classes together, we talked about it, is the importance of priorities. People who you have to sit down with yourself, your significant other, whatever it is, and really nail down what your priorities are. And it should be a semi-short list. Like, if you look down at your priorities and you got 27, dude, that's too much. You should have no more than 3 to 5, and really focus on them and make sure you're on the same page. If you do have a partner, make sure you're on the same page with them.
That's a really good point. And I'm curious, have you revisited, you're in this a little more than a year, so maybe you haven't done this yet, but over the course of your life, have you set your priorities and then revisited them later to see if they're still your priorities or have other things on that original list of 27, right? Have other things moved into those top 3 to 5? Because you're right, you can really only support a few, but there may be other things on the list.
No, mine definitely have. I revisited them not too long ago in our document, the coaching document Christine and I use. And I think I moved a couple things around and just, it's more me centered. My kids are still a priority, but they were number one right after the divorce because, we're going through a lot of things, personal things and financial things. Now they're okay. And I can move them a little lower because they got it going on and I can move other things up front. But I definitely think priorities will change, especially the more debt I pay off, priorities change a little bit just because now I've got a little wiggle room and I still nail on the debt. But, if there's other things I want to do.
It's good for people to hear that too, because they're going to have a list. They're going to want to tackle everything, right? So shrink it down, get the priorities to the top of the list that are your priorities today. And then next year, later on in the year, a couple of years from now, revisit the list and rearrange it, right?
Absolutely.
Things are going to move.
Yep.
So we're going to end the show a little different today. We normally end the show with a book and a quote, and we invited you to do that for us last time. So rather than bring a new book and quote to the table, we're just going to direct everybody. If you've not seen, or even if you have seen the first interview with Christine, go back and watch it again and pick up the book recommendation and the quote there, because that one it's such a good kind of foundation for this conversation, right? Going back, reviewing some of the comments that you made, it's so clear to me after having today's conversation how aligned you were already almost a year ago, because you really have repeated a lot of the same things. I mean, this has not changed that much for you. This plan is working. It was already in the right place. And you've spoken and said so many times how it's just continued to produce fruit. You've continued to improve, right? And win and have success with money. And you are convinced that you're going to hit those goals. You are determined to hit those goals, and you're excited about hitting those goals. It's so powerful. So if you haven't seen it, it's episode 9. And we didn't plan to do this, Christine, but if people could leave us the tools that they're using in the comments, what types of budgeting tools are they using, right? I want to know, because I think, there's so many options out there. It sounds like, and I might be wrong, but Christine, are you doing this just on an Excel spreadsheet?
Yes.
Is that kind of how you're budgeting? Yeah. So it can just be an Excel spreadsheet. It can be an app. It can be a number of different, it could be pencil and paper. I'm just curious what people are doing. I want to see what people are doing out there. So I'm going to challenge everybody to, just take a picture and drop it in there. And maybe we'll put something together with some of the images that we get, and we can do something fun with that. But I'm curious to see what kind of tools people are using for budgets, because I don't think it has to be something super sophisticated. I think it can be as simple or it can be as complex as you want it to be. So, Christine, thanks so much for being back on the show.
No, you're welcome.
I can't thank you enough. Thank you for taking your time to be here with us today and for telling our listeners what a witch is.
And they all should be witches. They all should be witches, man. We got that.
Thanks again, and
no problem.
We'll talk to everybody on the next episode. Bye. Thanks to all our incredible listeners for being part of today's journey. We're always on the lookout for amazing stories, unique perspectives, and expert opinions. And guess what? We want you to be our next guest. Connect with us using the links in the description below to reach out. Your story could be the next chapter of Off Limits.